hear that?
Yeah, it's a great effect. Okay, let's go.
3, 2, 1, and...
Hi, this is Steve Gillmor. Welcome to the Gillmor Gang. Oh, that worked beautifully. Some guy named Arrington has got a new office and a new desk and a new spritzer, and we'll find out more about that in a second. So we've got 5 people on the show today. I'm going to start at my extreme right, a new member joining today. He's my colleague at Cloudblog and at Salesforce. Former
Cloudblog.
Well, you'll have to find out. Former member of well, actually, you were the director of the eWeek Labs, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was there for 12 years.
And then, as Mike would put it, you went to the dark side and
oh my God, this has turned into a big Salesforce circle hug. Today's show about Salesforce, sponsored by Salesforce and more Salesforce.
No, it's sponsored by Rackspace, actually.
What is that?
We'll find out soon.
It's the cloud blog.
Okay, so John, have you been on the screen? I wasn't noticing. Okay.
You muted
to
me.
his right is virtually is Robert Scoble. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, how are you doing?
To Robert's right is Mike Arrington. Welcome, Mike.
Hi.
Can you tilt down a little bit,
My birthday.
Today is your birthday?
It's your birthday in terms of TechCrunch, right?
It's TechCrunch's 5th birthday today. June
Happy
11th.
birthday to you!
Woo!
To Mike's right is the illustrious Danny Sullivan, and I want you to take a look at what I've used for his underlying credit. If you can bring that up. There it is. Electric Ladyland. Isn't that the name of your blog? Okay, well, that froze. So it must be yes. And finally, but last and certainly least, is Andrew Keene. Welcome, Andrew.
At least I'm not to your left anymore, right?
Yes. Okay, so let's go back to Mike. 5 years of TechCrunch. What was the official launch of TechCrunch?
When was it?
What was it? I mean, it was. At what point did it become you, not a lawyer? You know, the usual stuff. I mean, how do you mark the beginning of TechCrunch?
Well, TechCrunch was originally just a place for me to post research I was doing about startups because I was starting my own startup, and I realized there was no blog or news service that just covered startups and all startups and everything else, like in that realm. Meaning entrepreneurs and the venture capital that they receive and when they get acquired. And so I just started posting it, and then all of a sudden there are all these people that just hit the site and wanted more, and Robert Scoble linked to me. And pretty soon it became a bit of a business, and it grew pretty quickly. It took about 6 months for me to realize TechCrunch is what I'm going to do full-time. So it was around December, 6 months later. But that's what it is. Today we have 35 employees. We're having a big party to celebrate.
And you're in a new building too, right?
Yeah, we were in a building in Palo Alto, a really cool one, but they're tearing it down. So it was condemned, even though the building was beautiful, but it didn't have the right earthquake protections. So
you need to get a little closer to the screen, Mike, I think, because the sound is breaking up. I think it's AGC. Try that. Oh, that's beautiful.
So is that better?
Yeah.
I need my headset, but I'm in San Francisco right now, and I didn't bring it. But
well, that's fine. You don't have to stay there, but just move in a little tighter if you start to break up a little bit. I'll let you know.
All right. So yeah, so it's our 5th birthday. We're in San Francisco in a brand new office. We've got 5,000 square feet, which is about twice as much space as we need, but it's a good deal. We're in a building with Yammer, Eventbrite, some other startups. It's a fun building. It's Townsend. It's really cool. Everything's going really good.
And you're having a party tonight for everybody's invited, right?
No, they're not actually. So occasionally we have. In fact, we've only done this a couple times. We'll have invite-only events with our really close friends. None of you were invited, of course.
Absolutely not.
And no, I think Steve, you'll come, and I think Robert's coming at least, and we'll do that. By the way, that's why I missed Danny Sullivan. I missed your event in Seattle only because I was here all week. I'm sorry I wasn't able to. It sounds like it was an outstanding event. So
yeah, we had a good time. But happy birthday, Mike. That's great.
Thanks very much.
That's really exciting.
Danny, what was your
You
event?
blogging, Danny? Since
What's that?
When did you start blogging? 04?
1996.
Nope.
I mean, I was running a website since '96. I shifted over to a blog format for part of the website. I think it was in 2005. I actually used blogging software for part of the site. And then I left the old place I was doing and started up Search Engine Land at the end of 2007.
Do you define blogging the way Dave Weiner does, which is whatever he did first on the internet, like first time he was on the internet, that's blogging, therefore he invented blogging? Or would you say
No,
predates Weiner by a couple of years?
I don't know. I guess I would define blogging as journalism with attitude, maybe. To me, we publish journalism, but we're not a mainstream source. We're not, we would be a magazine if we were in print, but we're not, and so I tend to embrace the blogging format mainly because I think people are understanding that as this is a place for me to get specialty information on a particular topic, rather than I'm going to go to a general purpose place. So like the Huffington Post, I wouldn't think of as a blog any more than I think of the New York Times as a blog. But you or me or GigaOM, these are places where I know I'm getting either boutique information or whatever, but they're subject specific. Doesn't make them any less than the mainstream sources or whatsoever. That's as best as I can define it.
Robert Scoble, do you define blogging as whatever Dave Weiner says it was first?
No, he says it's the individual voice of a person, and it's clearly not that anymore. Personally, I never figured out what the definition of a blog was.
Whatever Dave Weiner says it is.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever Mike Arrington says it is now.
Wait a minute. I mean, seriously, you worked for Dave Weiner.
Yeah, I mean, blogging was a stream of thoughts in reverse chronological order, and any further attempt to define it pretty much broke down because, is Boing Boing a blog? They were a group of people, and they were one of the first organizations to do that reverse chronological form. Is TechCrunch a blog anymore? It's not like it was in the early days,
What does that mean?
Well, it's not just Mike Arrington anymore. It's 14 people writing on it. Actually, more than that, right? I guest posted on there a week ago.
Wait, hold that.
This is going to be a fun show, I can tell. Mike, are you drinking already?
I'm not, but I wish I was.
Yeah.
So
I'll bring
Andrew
you a bottle of whiskey.
Andrew Keene, are you familiar with blogs?
No, I don't know what they are.
No, seriously. I mean, do you know anything about the beginnings?
Well, I don't think Danny's definition. I think everyone's definition is self-serving, including my own. But Danny's is very unconvincing. The idea that they're specialized is absurd. I mean, magazines, you had lots of specialized magazines. I don't really understand that. I mean, my understanding is of a self-publishing platform on the internet. So you just write what you want, and then it's easy to publish.
Yeah, but they were different from GeoCities, which was the same thing, right? It was the form in the early days. It was the reverse chronological.
What does reverse chronological mean?
It means the new post is at the top, and it doesn't lay out like a web. Older style web pages had stuff all over them. They were more like a portal. The form was very different in the early days. Now it's changing. I mean, TechCrunch today still has that reverse chronological form, but it has a lot more stuff around the edges. I don't know. It's an argument that never went anywhere because nobody can really define what they are.
John Taschek, you coming from the mainstream media, what was your first blog that you read with any regularity?
I think I think the blogs I read with Larry are kind of gone now, so I don't even remember what they were. But I did read the blogs that came out of our own publication that were a way of the analysts with opinions to skirt around the mainstream process of going through a sophisticated editor and a way of that kind of held up the process of getting some information out. And so all a lot of us wrote our own blogs just to get around that obstacle, and so we could put our own stuff out there with more opinion. So it's kind of a little bit of both. I mean, the first blogs I read with regularity were kind of like, Farber and and the rest of them I just kind of picked up here and there.
Okay, so we discussed the fact that blogs have replaced journalism, and can we move on now?
Yeah, I'd rather talk about Google's new indexer with Danny. I'd love to hear what he thinks about that.
Well, I thought search was we'd moved on from that as well, but go ahead, Danny.
Well, some people still use this thing called Google. So anytime they change their algorithms, it's got to be interesting to Danny.
I saw a figure that 30% are going to be using Bing once they've consolidated with Yahoo. Is that a real number?
That'll be, because when the Yahoo deal with Bing is complete, the results over at Yahoo will be powered by Bing. So that's why you get that 30% figure, because they look at Yahoo's, roughly 16 or 17, and Bing's roughly 12%, and they put them all together and come up with that. Whether Bing will pick up and all that share on its own, that's what I think is going to happen. I think Yahoo's going to keep declining. Although they're doing some fun trickery with these slideshows now that are getting them some search share. So
yeah, see that ComScore is going to reverse engineer all their rankings now, and who knows what the results will be tomorrow. But the gaming, just like it was with video cards in the 80s and with databases in the 90s, it's gaming on these index and the search it now. These companies are very sophisticated at it.
Yeah, no, they've definitely done some things to punch up their share, whether it's true search intent. One of the things that happens is if you're going through and you're looking at photos on Yahoo News, every time you click on another photo, that generates a search, and you didn't realize you were searching, and then their share goes up. So yeah, ComScore hopefully will be able to sort some of that up. It would be even better if all the search engines actually got together and agreed on what is a search metric, how do you count a search, how do we know what the market share is. I'm not that optimistic they'll do it. What I do expect will happen is if the gaming continues to be counted, then Google will add their own photo slideshow types of things and just stomp the others.
Danny, isn't it actually good for Google to appear to have less search share than they actually?
Yeah. This is beautiful for Google. That's why I don't think they're crying about it right now, because this is the second month that we've heard that their share has gone down and Yahoo's gone up, and Google can go, see, we're no antitrust issues here. It's a really competitive market. Of course, when you look at it from a volume perspective, Google's actually gone up. Google's reported as having lost share last month, but actually it has almost the exact same number of searches that it gained as Yahoo gained. But Yahoo's share has gone up because Yahoo has so many fewer searches than Google. So Google's getting the best of both worlds. They're getting a little bit of, aha, they're weak, look out. But they're not actually weak at all.
Yeah, but,
and in fact,
they can't.
Stronger because some of the Yahoo searches probably are not revenue generating for Yahoo.
But they can't they can't complain about being locked out of iAds if they're a monopoly. Then they can complain. But if they're not a monopoly, they can complain. I don't understand. Why are they so upset about iAds?
Well, actually, I think it's been the AdMob people, which I know they bought, but they've sort of let them yell about it. I haven't heard Google itself.
No, there was the Wall Street Journal had a report that quoted somebody at Google, not iAds.
Okay.
Not AdMob.
So Google's also kind of schizophrenic in some places, right? They understand on the mobile platform that Apple's very dominant, that there's a lot of searches that are happening there, and they don't want people to be locked out. They want to be able to have their ads showing there as well. So absolutely they'll complain. And in fact, it's useful for them to complain, because in that case they can say, not only are we not a monopoly, but look at how we're getting screwed by somebody we think really is a monopoly, Apple. Take a look at them. And they shift all the attention over. Remember, they were the ones that were getting investigated originally by the FTC. Should you be able to take AdMob in the first place? And now I guess the FTC is going to look at what Apple's doing. So
I just don't see how that's going to help Google's cause. They're trying to game the financial analysts and the antitrust people and the search engine market itself. I don't see in a momentum battle how that's going to help anyone to do these things. I think it's more like they're taking pot shots to see what sticks right now, just like they do with their products.
Who Google does that?
Google does that, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they're not going to just sit back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Apple said that you can't develop apps that have ads that might come from us. We don't have anything to say on it. They're saying exactly what I'd expect them to say. I wouldn't expect them to say, "Okay, that's cool." But, they got to say something.
Yeah. Are they allowing iAds on Google devices?
What's that?
Is Google allowing iAds on their devices on Android?
I don't know. I don't think that they have any restrictions on what ads you can show in a device. But the difference is Google doesn't actually have a device. They don't, they put out the Android platform, and then the carriers can do with it as they want, and they can strip it or run it down, and with the exception of the Nexus One, which is exactly what Yahoo happened with AT&T. When AT&T put out their Android phone, they stripped it of Google, and they plugged in Yahoo everywhere they wanted. Yahoo didn't even know they were doing it. It was great. AT&T was just so angry at Google that they decided, well, we'll take Android, and we'll just decide that Yahoo should be our friend on that one.
Speaking of which, at the iPhone launch this week, they had all the new iPhone 4s. They all had Bing on them. They didn't have Google set on them.
All right, speaking of iPhone 4s, Mike, are you going to break your Android fantasy and move back to the iPhone?
Yeah, no. What I'm going to do, the problem with the iPhone...
Wait a minute. I heard yeah, no.
The iPhone, I really like the iPhone, but it doesn't support Google Voice. It just doesn't. So you can't easily make calls out using your Google Voice number. You can always forward, Google Voice to that number, but Google Voice is probably the most important mobile thing in my life. Hardware, software, anything else, because I just use it to organize my phone. I'm going to get a new iPhone when it comes out because it looks like a terrific device, but it won't be my primary phone. So I'll carry it with another phone, which will always be an Android phone because it integrates perfectly with Google Voice. This is a piece of shit. I mean, this thing, I've got it plugged in right now as well.
Which one is that?
This phone is just, it's not a piece of shit. But you don't want to buy this phone.
What is it?
It's the Evo.
What's that?
The Nexus One is just a way better phone, and there's some phones coming out that are on these sort of NVIDIA Tegra chips that are getting up really good speeds that I think people are going to want to look at. So
I have a question for Mike.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of your stuff on Google Voice, but no one ever calls me. So what's the value of Google Voice to me?
No one ever calls you?
This is a cry for help,
other
by the
people,
way.
but I get maybe one call a day. I mean, what's so great about Google Voice? You probably get a million calls every 10 seconds, but most people aren't like you.
Okay, so I'll tell you, I get a lot of calls, like it's sort of constantly ringing. Google Voice is a phone number that Google issues you. I've actually ported my old cell phone number to Google Voice, so they actually are sort of my carrier. And what it does is it allows you to say, when somebody calls this phone number, I want Google to ring any number of, actually there's a limit of 6, but any number of phones. And so I have it ring my home phone, which is great when my cell phone doesn't work at my home. I'll have it ring my Skype in number. I'll have it ring all these different phones. And so it's just a lot easier, particularly when you don't want to be on your cell phone all the time because of bad cell phone coverage, to use Google Voice. It automatically transcribes any voicemails that come in. The greatest thing about it is I can block somebody. So if I go to Robert Scoble, actually let's do this right now. So if I go to Google Voice,
Okay.
and I call, hold on a sec.
Wait, Robert has to change batteries on the.
No, don't say the number.
I have a fresh charge.
So wait, hold on. I have to actually find. Okay, go ahead and call me. Turn on the speaker. Go ahead and call me.
Is it the 416 number?
No, Robert, it's not. It's the 925 number.
Hold on a second.
Here, I'll call. Hold on.
How many numbers do you have? I mean, I've only got one. Most people only have one.
Well, you only need one, evidently, Andrew.
No, I don't. This 425.
I don't need any, but that's.
I don't know what that is. So, okay. So Robert, I'm calling you now. Just go ahead and answer it, and then you'll have the number to call me back on.
Okay. I already found your number, but.
Okay. So go ahead and call me. Make sure your speaker's on, because I think people love this.
Just go to the AT&T website. You can get anybody's number.
Okay. I can't show the screen because it has your number on it.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone, and Google Voice will try to reach
Mike Arrington.
Robert Scoble.
So it's ringing now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's good. Now, yeah. Okay, so you're calling me from a 650-201 number, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So now, hang up and try it again.
Okay.
Boy, where's Computer Chronicles when you need it?
So the deal is you can block one, and you got to understand, like, you can't block people on email. You can't block them from calling your cell phone. Like, people like start harassing you. You got to get a new cell phone number. Not with Google Voice. I love this. I block people. I block 5 people a day.
Now I understand, but how many people are like?
Hey, I want to see it not answer. How do we cover it not answering?
So it's still ringing through?
No, that's something else. Hang up and try one more time, and then we'll give up. But it's a cool message that you get.
What does it say? You're banned? You can block someone on Twitter.
Wait, Robert. Wait, are you calling me from your... You have to call me from your... No, see, you have to call me from your main number. This is some new weird number.
Yeah, that's what I was calling you from, because I'm using my EVO number.
Okay, no. Well, I'm going to block that number too now. I blocked your 425 number. Hold on, this is really cool. So I will now go into... I'm going into received.
I think this is illustrating.
Is this the 201 number you called me from?
No, it's the 650 number or something.
This is way more complicated than it needs to be. Google Voice is great. I mean, it's
do it down.
It's so
It's
easy.
really good if you want to ban people.
Yeah, call me one more time from that 201 number.
It's an
I don't know if you want
exclusive
to
thing.
ban.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
You're kidding.
Like
See-
they actually think that you've just turned off the phone number, and I'll unblock you now. But
Thank
it's
you.
it's just so great. So that's
So-
why I love Google Voice.
so they-
I block Robert Scoble.
So wait, let me just... If somebody could like take the next half hour and explain what we just saw. I mean, what happened there? So in other words, Google now controls the phone company, and they can change the message so that you're out of order or whatever that we just
I also
heard?
don't get text messages. Imagine if on email I could click a button and that person could never email me again. Right? I mean, I guess you can throw it in a spam filter, thing like that, but it's just absolutely...
Well, that's useful for text. I get text spam. So using Google Voice, I could block the text spam?
Yeah.
So what's
Awesome.
the best service if you're like me and you want people to call you and you want to make some new friends?
Google Voice. That's another thing. Did you notice when Robert called me the first time before I blocked him, he had to say his name? Every time I get a call, it tells I answer, and it tells me who's calling. And then I can hang up on them, and they go to voicemail. I can accept the call, or I can not accept it and send them to voicemail, but listen in, and then pick up at any time. And so
So now we know how to get through Mike's blocking system.
How's that going to get me friends?
Well, you have to work on that some other way, Andrew.
Yeah, right. Have a party.
Join Facebook, or I don't know, do something social. Get out every once in a while. Maybe go to a bar or some kind of cafe.
All right, so getting back to the other than Google Voice, advent, aspects of the anything but the iPhone. First of all, what are the things that you liked about the new iPhone, Mike?
I like the front-facing phone, camera to do video chat, and I think the software they've done around that is amazing. I like the speed of the phone a lot, and really that's sort of it. I mean, after that, it's just niceties. But the phone is just a really nice operating system. It's a really nice UI.
You've used
Android
it.
Some bugs.
You have one, or you've used it?
No, I'm talking about iPhone in general. I actually haven't held the new iPhone because I was off somewhere when it launched. But
I have.
Get one.
Yeah. So
I have. And the screen is stunning. When you see it close up, it's a
Retina display.
Well, forget the marketing point of view, but it's sharp and it's clear and it looks different than any other screen. I'm surprised.
Let me know when
the
you
guy who
forget
sat
the
in bar
marketing
didn't
part.
instantly notice that it was something totally different than what he'd seen before.
Well, what about the video conferencing stuff?
I think that's cool, but it only works on Wi-Fi, and you have to have an iPhone 4 on both sides.
But see, this is where
for somebody like me who's going to have, my 16-year-old's going to have one of these the first day, and I'm going to have one, and we're going to be able to do video chats that way. But we use Skype anyway, so for us it doesn't really. That's not why I'm going to get this.
Well, you don't use Skype on your cell phone.
Not on my cell phone.
Okay,
no.
so that's what's cool about this, right?
I know, but it's not. Again, it's Wi-Fi only. So if I'm over,
but it's not Wi-Fi only. This is the only logic for.
I was in the press conference. They said very specifically
that's very exciting. That's very exciting, Robert. Robert,
Wi-Fi
let me know when.
Does not work on 3G.
Let me know when the filibuster's over so that I can continue.
It's over.
Thanks. So.
He was getting kind of worked up there.
Yeah, well, it's early yet. So the thing that does present a rationale for using an Android, particularly this brick, the Evo, this one, is that it provides tethering, so you can turn this on in your pocket on tethering, and then call somebody over Sprint's network using the Wi-Fi video conferencing.
Okay.
Assuming they already have one.
There are always workarounds when Steve Jobs blocks you.
This is the workaround that I think is going to work. As long as you make 3-minute calls before the battery on the Evo dies.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is the problem with the battery on the Evo?
The battery's fine. It's just the hardware and the software load with those background apps running that it just sucks it dry. And it's a big screen. It's sucking a lot of power. Although that's only about 5% of my power usage. Actually, I'll pull it up. It's really interesting on the Evo on Android because you can see what's using power. And so MG's written about this, but it's really I forgot where it is.
Here's some examples, right? I just started up my phone, and if you use Task Manager, you can see all the tasks that are running. Why is Sprint Navigation and Sprint Zone running? And Sprint Football Live, I never even used that app, right? But it's taking memory space at minimum and probably using some battery life. So I use this app and just kill all selected apps. And that generally helps the battery life a little bit, especially when you're not using the phone. It seems to let the battery...
Cell standby is like 20% of my battery usage. Phone idle is 23% of my battery usage. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, the iPhone has terrible.
Yeah, I found the best way to keep my battery.
This is worse than the iPhone, though, Andrew.
Sorry, what did you say?
Worse?
Danny,
I'd say 40% worse. So if you only get to 6 p.m. on your iPhone, you're only going to get to 3 or 4 on the EVO.
I get to 6 p.m. if I get up at 4 p.m. I mean, it only lasts me about 3 hours.
If you're on the phone, like doing stuff, like doing an app, I was playing a game once on a bus ride I had a couple of weeks ago. It didn't last a 3-hour bus ride, sort of using the phone constantly. And there were no actual phone calls. So a 3-hour usable battery it's a laptop. It's not a phone.
Danny, what did you say?
I was saying that I've been keeping my Evo battery from dying by putting it into airplane mode, which isn't really that handy.
That's not useful.
If you want a phone.
That's really turning it into a brick.
Turn it off.
Well, that's great.
The times I've had it on and I've had it running.
Longer,
I mean, that's also a problem I find with Android because it's so much work. If you're really into your phone, you really want to go through and figure out what's using up the power and all the background tasks and everything else. But, I kind of lived through that hell with Windows Mobile. And the iPhone, my battery lasts for a really, really long time, and it's not running all these different things, and I don't have to try to figure it all out. I'll be interested to see how well the iPhone 4 deals with stuff.
Yeah, 7-hour battery, evidently.
I'm not stupid, and yet I'll look at the Evo, and I'll be like, why is that running? How do I turn it off? What do I got to do? It's pain.
It's frustrating. And the Android OS on my Evo, by the way, it says I'm out of space, and I've deleted a whole bunch of apps. I have gigs on both the card and on the phone available, and it still says phone is running low on space. It's like,
I think you need
hello.
a disk keeper for the Android.
Oh man, I'm ready to just reformat it and start over.
But
Well, I
you're
still
ready
have
to...
the Moto Droid, the original Droid, which looks like a brick, but my battery lasts for days, and I'm using it quite a bit. Lots of phone calls, lots of apps running.
I know,
Yeah,
but
but
I've been hearing
that phone is
I've been
a lot
hearing these
slower.
rationalizations about these Android phones now. Ever since Arrington switched off the iPhone, there's just this endless parade of, well, but it does this, and
That's true. I mean, if I call
talking
you,
to him.
I mean, Steve, if I call you on this EVO phone and then I call you on the iPhone, you can hear that this is a much clearer phone. There are things that Android is way better, right?
Yeah, but that's
if I drive
If
from
you
San
go
Francisco
actually-
to Cupertino to Apple's headquarters, there's 2 dead zones on Freeway 280 in a very specific place.
But that's nothing to do with the phone, is it?
Well, it has to do with the phone and with AT&T, which is the same thing. Apple and AT&T to me are one entity. You know, when people say it's AT&T's fault that all the iPad emails leaked, you know, that's bullshit. It's both of them together. Apple chose AT&T. So when I drive with my iPhone, I have 2 drop zones that drop 100% of the time. Sprint doesn't drop at all from San Francisco all the way to Cupertino.
I mean, I'm looking at, because I'm still working with the iPhone 3G, and I skipped the 3GS, and I'm debating which way to go. And the thing that's going the strongest for me is the biggest feature that Android has is that it's not available on AT&T. Or in other words, that I can buy it on Verizon, and I can make phone calls with it, and
I'm not
I would
going
have
to
clear
let
call
this
quality.
airplane mode thing go.
What's
Danny,
that?
does the iPhone have airplane mode as well, so you can extend the battery life that way?
Oh
it
yeah.
does.
It's like paperweight.
I'm mocking
mode
you on
is what
Twitter.
it
You know
is.
that, right?
I know. But obviously, I couldn't do that if I were using it for my main phone. But I've been double carrying right now,
because
right? So
that turns the
I've
phone
taken
off.
it out, and then I want to turn it on. I'll check
Double
my email.
carrying.
Is that a term, Danny? Double carrying? Or
Yes.
Did you just invent it?
I doubt I invented it.
It's just
Am
pathetic.
I the only
what
person
we're-
on this show who is not double carrying?
I'm quadra carrying.
I'm sorry. I'm going to put my computer in airplane mode now.
Paperweight mode.
I don't get phone calls on it. I've only
Especially not when it's in airplane mode.
what I've been doing.
No wonder I don't get in
You're
calls.
always in airplane mode, Mike. That's why you've got Google Voice, right?
What I've been doing is I've had both phones, right? I've had my iPhone in case I needed to get a call. But, like, I took the
Because the
Evil
other
out the
phone's
weekend, and I had it on because I wanted to take... I mean, it takes great pictures, right? I can zoom. I can do these things I can't do on my iPhone 3G. So, but then I would look at it, and I'm like, wow, half my battery's gone when it's on. So that's why it's shut down. You're making me defend something. You know it's silly.
Hey, I'll buy you a camera. Those also take really good pictures.
And
You know what works really well as a phone, too? My iTouch. I get great battery life on it, but it never rings for some reason. I don't know.
because they think
Triple
it's
carrying.
Andrew's phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, so
I am triple carrying. I
All right.
just don't have the iPad. too.
okay. I mean, we're going to take a pause from this pathetic display, and we're going to. I mean, what's amazing is that all you guys actually get paid to do this, to fumble around with this crap endlessly.
So do you.
You can mute me at any time you want, but I'm sorry. I need another 3 minutes of mocking this because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, there'll be plenty of time. I'm going to just insert a real question in the middle of this. You can decide. You don't have to answer it, obviously. How many people here are going to actually buy the new iPhone? I want you to all raise your hand.
You mean on the day it comes out?
Well,
Next Tuesday, I'm going to order it.
As opposed to, the 3G that you're using since 1943.
Only one.
Okay, so only Robert is going to get it, which I would have predicted.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
What was
Aaron,
the question?
Keep in mind, I'm the only one who's actually held one in their hands. And when you see the screen, you're going to go, okay, I'm in.
no, but you said that about the Droid. When you see the screen, it's
Hey,
gonna,
the Droid has a nicer screen than the iPhone 3GS. It
Robert
certainly is.
Scoble, by definition, likes everything.
Yeah,
he's a chip-
Scoble, have you ever met a piece of technology you don't desire?
No.
all right, so there's one Scoble. I predict Arrington will get one within a week or two.
Oh, I'm going to pre-order one on the 15th when the pre-order starts.
Excellent. Okay, so
Excellent.
that's two.
They come out the 24th? What's the date?
Yeah,
You
the
can
20
pre-order on the 15th, I think, and they come out on the 24th.
Okay, so Taschek, are you going to get one?
No, absolutely not. I'm Droid fanboy for
Okay,
another year.
all right. I'm not going to ask Andrew because he doesn't know the answer. Danny.
I'm probably going to wait about a month and see what happens, see if we get any more news, if we're ever going to get one for Verizon. My contract's up at that period, so, because I bought mine in July, but it's not so much the contract thing, because I guess AT&T will do anything to pimp you out for another 2 years at this point.
The answer
But
is
no, I
no.
wanna
You're
hang
not
in
going to
there.
get an iPhone on Verizon this year.
Okay.
How'd you know?
Did Verizon tell you that?
Several
No, the Wall
people
Street
told me
Journal.
that.
The Wall
If
Street
they had
Journal.
something to announce, they would have announced it
The
already.
Journal implied it. The Journal said that
Well,
they
and if I'm not going to
say
get it
next
this year, I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to run out and get in line and do it the day it comes out. I can get along just fine with the phone I have for a bit longer, and when I get closer towards the end of the summer, I might decide, yeah, I'm ready for a new phone, and I'll reweigh whether or not I want to go Android or iPhone. Right now, my biggest issue with Android is that it is more complicated to do the things that I depend on the most, which is just browsing the web and looking at my email. Right? Mike likes Android because Google Voice is so important to him. I use my phone so much for browsing, so much for email, a little bit for Twitter. These are the main activities I do. And occasionally it's nice if it makes a phone call. But I can't get onto the internet, but I can't get onto the internet because of AT&T's crappy network. And
really,
I'll be in the same
data.
place.
AT&T
and
has
I'm
never
not lying, I'm
messed
not
with me
making
on
up.
data. It's always voice that I have a complaint with.
I know, but see, I know, but everybody's got different things, right? So my things are different than your things, right? I'm using my phone as a mini computer, and I need to have the data. And when AT&T craps out on me, that's pushing me away no matter how good the interface is.
Okay.
And at some point, it's like, I might have to do more work for some of the things I like on the iPhone if I go to Android, but if I can get on Android and it works, it's great. And I've got a Verizon broadband card, and I'll be in the same place, and my computer's working fine using the broadband card, but my iPhone's crapping out.
So here's my conundrum. I have iPads. I'm sorry. I have 3 iPads in my family. My kid has one. My wife has one, and we're going to go take a trip to LA, and we want to be on the internet. You know, we want to listen to Pandora and watch movies and stuff like that. So iPhone, even the new iPhone will not allow you to tether the iPad with the new iPhone. So we're stuck. We're going to have to choose. Should we go with a Sprint? A Sprint?
Yeah, you buy a Verizon Wi-Fi thing. There you are. You're done.
Yep. And so if you have
get a
that,
hack. There's got to be a hack out there.
How long are you going to LA for?
10 days.
I was going to say 10 minutes. You have to be online for that.
How big
10
is
minutes.
the MiFi? How big a box is it?
It's a little box, you know.
It's like a credit card. I did a whole.
Is it
I did a
bigger?
whole
Is
post
it
about
smaller
it on
than
my
this?
blog, and I talked about using it. This is it, right?
Here, hold it up in front of the camera.
That's it compared to my iPhone. I don't even know where my iPhone's going. Hang on. It's very small and it's very light. I've put it into my shirt pocket, and I don't even notice that it's there until it starts burning me. Right? But there's your iPhone. There's your MiFi.
How's the battery life on that?
The battery life has
How's the
been
battery life on
supposed to be rated like 3 hours. I haven't even used it for that long.
Okay,
Because I
hold
turn
it
it
up.
off. I find
Hold
the
it,
battery
Danny.
life works better if I have it turned off.
Danny, hold it up. Hold the MiFi up. Okay, so it looks like the Evo is smaller than
No,
the
the Evo's
MiFi.
bigger than the Evo's bigger than it. This is the Evo. See?
You're triple carrying, Danny. Why?
Yeah, I
You've got
triple
2
carry.
phones.
All right,
But
so
the nice thing
and
about
what's
the
the
MiFi
battery?
is it will run my iPad, so I don't need to buy a data plan with the 3G. It runs my computer as well, and so that's.
Then
It's been
Danny,
good.
why do you care about the AT&T data plan on your iPhone? You just hook it up on Wi-Fi to your Verizon plan if it goes out.
Exactly.
Because
That
if I'm out and about without my computer and I'm
Yeah.
using my phone, that's when I care.
How many
right?
times?
But the Evo has tethering, so you can hook through this.
Yeah, but the
to
Evo has
4G.
tethering, and then your Evo dies in an hour and a half.
No, it
But not
doesn't.
if you put it in airplane mode. See, what you,
You're right.
is,
You're right. When I put it in airplane mode, it works great.
you
But
put
they
it
don't
in
But my
tether it, it's
internet
an
access is a
airplane,
bit
right?
slower for some reason.
and
I
you
don't
can
get it.
you can use the Evo. It's bricked then, of course, but you can use it to take a picture of the MiFi. There you go.
So
that's what you
I
do,
think
right?
what you're saying, Mike, is that Steve Jobs has not anticipated the new brick
What
airplane
I'm
mode
saying
model.
is that I respect the shit out of Danny Sullivan, and when he starts talking about search, I'm like, I just stop everything I'm doing and I listen. But when he says things like that, I really start to wonder, like, oh my God, what if he doesn't know anything more about search than he knows about phones?
What if he
And
was running the country?
I'm like worried. I'm worried that, like,
I'm joking. My God, it was a joke.
so am I, Danny.
It's a joke, and yet it's serious. Because if you use the Evo, as I have, and I've taken it out as my only phone, and I've gone out for 5 hours, and I've come back, and I have 10% battery life.
Or
That's
less.
the problem with the Evo. I mean, it's like you're
I
like,
used the
God,
Evo
where'd
this
all my
week for
battery?
a phone call, and I in 1 hour on
I
a
haven't
phone
even
call,
done
the battery
anything.
went down
It's
40%.
just been on.
Okay, just get an external charge for the bloody phone.
Yeah, it's called a computer. You just plug this into the USB port, and it'll run all day.
Yeah.
Get like a backpack with a battery or a little generator in it. You can plug that into the phone.
I got a little solar thing that goes on my. I got a little solar thing that goes on my head. Look, my iPhone, I can go an entire day and still have practically a full charge.
Is that an airplane mode or not?
No, that was regular mode.
Okay.
What? What kind of iPhone do you have?
Forget.
That's a funny one.
I have an iPhone where
You're gonna
I make
deal
sure I
more
don't
on
have
me
the
than just
maps
freaking.
running.
Yeah.
Because that pulls down. I have an iPhone where I'm actually not making that many phone calls. Sorry, Mike.
Andrew, it sounds like you have a bad battery on the Apple. I had one of those once where it only lasted an hour, and I took it back, then gave me a new iPhone, and then it lasted all day long, just like
Yeah, it was called a
Danny's did.
3GS. Is what they
I got
fixed
a
that with a
3GS.
new one.
I've
Yeah,
got
I know, but if
3G.
you're only getting an hour of battery, you have a bad battery. Take it into an
Do you
hour.
remember the
maybe
2G?
3 hours, certainly not a whole day.
I get a whole day and I use it a shitload all day long. So
what do I
if you're
do?
not
Can I
getting
take
a
it?
whole, if you're not getting a whole day out of the 3GS, you have a bad battery and you should take it into an Apple store.
Can I quote you on that? Can I say my
Yeah,
friend?
absolutely. Take it in and say you're only getting an hour. Lie a little bit.
Say Robert
Say you're only
Scoble
getting
sent
an
you.
hour and it's bullshit.
That's
And you
everybody
paid a lot
who's
of money
watching
for
the show
phone. And
or will.
My friends are all getting 10 hours of battery out of this, and I want a new phone.
Yeah, that's why they're selling a new phone in 10 days. Is
Maybe they'll
because
give me a new.
They're going to
brand
replace
new
all these
one.
other
I
ones
don't
in the meantime.
know.
They're still selling the 3GS for $99, so they're probably going to still replace you with a 3GS.
I don't mind.
All right, so now that we've beaten this to death, how about Facebook and privacy? Any new news on the apology front?
No, Zuckerberg blew up on stage at the D conference basically, and looked really bad. Other than that, it's still
Okay, so other than the
I thought they've
perspiration
been very,
crisis,
very successful with it. I think that when they did that press conference and they announced, hey, we got all these new privacy changes and it's all much simpler, that seemed to diffuse the problem. I didn't think that they actually made things as simple as they should do, but boy, did that finally seem to be them getting the privacy stuff off their back for a lot of the media, and it really did. Yeah, he blew up on D8, and he didn't look good about that, but that came and went, to me.
I agree.
okay, so everything's okay. We can go back to losing all of our data to anybody who wants it.
There is one interesting thing here I think worth mentioning. This morning, we wrote a post. Jason Calcanis, I think, has been ridiculous about Facebook privacy and in a bad way. But he did delete his account, and then it was reinstated. And we discovered this morning, we're like, did he ever actually delete it? And we contacted him, and it turns out, it looks like what happened is he did go through the deletion process, and then there's a 2-week period you can undo it, and then it's supposed to be gone forever. But what happened is he went to some third-party website where he was already logged into Facebook through Connect, and it auto-logged him in. And then Facebook took that and reinstated his account. And no one noticed until today. And so that's a really bad thing. I assume they'll fix that. They need to have a setting so if you delete your account, the third-party apps through Connect or the API can't just sort of reinstate your account. But
well, and I had a similar thing where a woman came to reading one of my articles, and she had quit her account a year ago, and for whatever reason, she clicked the like button, just the like button. It took her over to Facebook, and Facebook said, hey, do you want us to re-enable your account? She had deleted it, right? Says, do you want us to re-enable your account? And then, I don't know why she said yes, or she didn't click on it or whatever, but it re-enabled her account. So then she was all angry that I, of course, caused her to go back to Facebook. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you seem a bit confused about how the internet works. But I went back to Facebook, and they said, yes, if you delete your account, but you come back to us and you do any interaction with us, we'll prompt you to renew the account. So they didn't kill her account. It was still there, even though supposedly it was deleted.
I'm a little confused about.
Deleted.
I'm confused about how the internet works. I mean, I don't understand what you're talking about. Why would clicking a like button have anything to do with Facebook?
Because she clicked on the Facebook like button that took her to Facebook from my site. She was using a browser where she had not cleared off her Facebook cookie, despite the fact that she had deleted her Facebook account. Facebook recognized her, automatically populated the box with her email and with her password, because it was pulling it from the browser.
Right, but why?
It said, "Do you want to re-enable your account?"
But is Facebook
And when she did
stupid?
it brought back her account.
Why doesn't Facebook have this little checkbox, a little bit that's flipped when you say, "I want to delete my account. I want to go away. I never want to come back"? Don't they have a setting for that they then populate their like account with? I mean, I don't understand
Well,
it.
no. I mean, the point is, if you've deleted your account, you shouldn't be able to go back a year ago and have Facebook say, "Oh, okay, we'll re-enable it." At some
Was
point,
all her data still there, or was it
I think all of her stuff was still there, and it all came back.
Yeah, that's
I don't
sort
know
of,
for certain
when they
because
deleted me.
she was also very confused, right? She was very nice, but she had a lot of problems in terms of understanding what her browser does and everything else does. And I actually forwarded her on to Facebook PR and said, well, what should we do here? What can you explain it? But Facebook PR came back and said, yeah, if you kill your account and you log back into Facebook for some reason, months later, your account will still be there, and you're gonna ready to rock and roll
The
again.
translation is they never delete your stuff, even if you ask them to delete your stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, there should be no way for them to log back in if the account's deleted, but they can't have a
Facebook doesn't
perpetual
delete
cookie out
anything. I don't think Facebook deletes anything underneath when they.
But that's a
suspended
real
you-
issue. That's a real issue. I think that's what Mike's saying too,
Yeah.
which is,
Yeah.
why on earth don't they respect the user's desire to have them go away?
Well, you all know the reasons, right?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Zuckerberg's, sweating problem, but I mean, I don't think that's a real issue. This is a real issue. You're basically saying, we don't delete your stuff ever. Why not?
There's probably some legal reasons that if
Like what?
well, if you're a child pornographer and all of a sudden the cops are coming after you and you try to delete it, Facebook probably wants to have something legally around to say, hey, this guy actually is showing this stuff.
Well, I'd like to
It's
hear.
got to be archived, and for compliance, that stuff has to be archived. It doesn't have to give them access to the website again. I mean, every cloud company has to deal with this very issue.
I mean, Calacanis will change
let me
his mind
clarify,
10
'cause
times, so it doesn't
I
matter.
pulled up what Facebook said, and they said to me, it sounds like she deactivated her account, not that she deleted it. And so when you deactivate, your profile is made inaccessible, but we saved your content and all the information, et cetera, et cetera.
That's
and
true.
then he
There are
said she
two
can go
ways
ahead and
to. There are two ways if you want to leave
Yeah.
Facebook. You can just simply deactivate your account, which is simpler to do, but there's also a series of steps that you have to go through to fully delete your account.
So we didn't stop the war in Iraq. We
Right.
just deactivated
So that's
it,
like
basically.
Netflix.
Yeah, when they suspended me for a day because I broke their terms of service, and in fact, Twitter did this yesterday. Too.
Well, I wasn't in favor of them reinstating you, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, but they.
No,
they
seriously,
removed-
I wasn't in favor of it.
I know.
I mean, you went in with Plaxo and just stole a bunch of data and then pushed it out on the internet.
No, I didn't push it out on the internet, and I never stole it at all. But you're going back and. By the way, what I did is totally acceptable according to today's terms of service, but whatever. Anyways, when they deleted me or suspended me, everything I did disappeared, and every comment that somebody left on my wall disappeared. And then when they decided to reinstate me, everything immediately reappeared. And
So in
they
other
have
words,
this
they
magic
didn't.
button.
So they did nothing.
Hey, Steve, I got a jet. We got
Okay.
a party to prepare for.
All right. Well, congratulations, 5 years. Great job.
Happy 5th.
Yeah.
You guys. Sorry for making fun of you, Danny.
It's fine. Have a good birthday, Mike.
It-
Have fun up
It's
there.
by the way, it's Building 43's first birthday. We launched at TechCrunch a year ago. So
Wait, it's your first birthday.
it's Building 43's first birthday. Yeah,
You kept the job for a whole year?
Okay.
I kept it for a whole year, man.
Wait, that means at some point in the next month you're going to be quitting and launching something new, right?
No.
How long did you keep the job before Building 43? That was like 11 months, right?
Based at Fast Company, about a year.
About a year. And then before that was PodTech. And how long was that?
2
years?
2 years. 2 years.
Oh, you stayed there 2 years.
Yeah, and
And-
3 years
Right,
at
okay.
Microsoft.
Is everything going well with Building 43?
Awesome. Couldn't
Good.
be happy.
And what is it again?
It's the center of the internet.
It's like a website that it's just a blog, right?
No, it's the center of the internet.
Okay, it's the beginning and end of all things. Okay.
It's like the center of the universe.
Seriously, for most people,
predict.
Google is the center of the internet. Building 43 is the center of Google, so it's the center of the internet.
I'll call you on your Evo later, Mike.
Yeah, we'll explain the whole concept to you. But it's
If it's not an airplane mode, I mean, you
Okay, adios. See you.
See ya.
Building 43 is just a place for us to talk about
Yeah, got it.
bleeding edge tech stuff that's not on TechCrunch. Not good enough for TechCrunch.
All right. So, anything else that anybody wants to talk about?
Google Search Index. We never got to that.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Danny?
Caffeine.
Yeah.
Google rolled out a new way. They rolled out a new infrastructure on how they index pages, and basically they're trying to grab any content as fast as it's published and put it out there to make it available. And in the past, they were sometimes picking up some pages, but then not pushing them into the index until a little bit longer after they saw it. They'd have different crawlers at some points with news content that would happen. So the whole thing is that they're really trying to take in everything they find and in real time make it available. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect is...
But haven't they had real time for a while?
The thing is, by real time, they mean anything that's published when they get it. So if you just updated a web page on your e-commerce site, you're probably not thinking that that was real time. But as soon as Google comes to your site and finds that page, they're now shoving it out and making it available. Whereas in the past, they may have found the page, and then maybe a few days later, it was available to be found in the actual search.
Now,
results.
is this a stream that they publish? So it looks like a status update stream?
They don't have a stream like that. That would be interesting. Although the Google real-time search kind of gives you a sense of that sort of thing. But
I found a stream.
You don't have a. What's that?
I did find a stream occasionally. Like every once in a while, I go to a Google search and it did stream it, kind of like a Facebook, and it's popping up, Twitter feeds and things like that in a very different way. And then I go back to the same search and it wasn't there.
That was the real time thing that they did about 6 months ago.
Content, but they're streaming out. That's only content they're streaming out that they consider to be real time. So these are where we get these bad words that don't define the same things. But news content and Facebook updates and Twitter updates, they consider that real time stuff that they put into their real time search engine. And as soon as they find it, they publish it. But with this new change, if you just put up a web page at Amazon with some new product, they consider you've just put it up and they've just found it, they'll make that available in Google as well. They just wouldn't make it available in the real-time section, even though they're going to publish it as soon as they find it. So they're just the overview is the new infrastructure makes it the index a lot fresher. They've got a lot of really recently published stories that are still being out there. The other aspect of what they're doing is that they can associate more data with these pages, so that potentially if they get a list of all the like behavior from Facebook, they can associate that with an individual page and know, well, this page has been liked so much. Or if someone has created a database of reviews ranking a particular page, they could integrate that. They can associate all kinds of metadata to any item in their index without having to re-engineer things, which is what they apparently had to do in the past. And the whole name for all this was called Google Caffeine.
How open is that API?
Danny, do you know why some pages on Google have video results from YouTube and most don't?
You mean when you do a search on Google?
Yeah.
It depends on the search you're going to do. Google, when you do a search on Google and it gives you that little box of video results, that's Google feeding in content from Google Video, which is a meta video search engine that's looking at YouTube and Vimeo and video content from all over the web. And then it tries to decide what it thinks are the most relevant results. A lot of times you get YouTube content, and Google says that's not because we're favoring YouTube and we love YouTube more than anybody else. It's because we think that's the most relevant content, and also because a lot of video content actually is out on YouTube. That's what they say. Some people don't believe them.
Yeah.
What did you ask John about open source?
Yeah, how open are those APIs for caffeine? Are they can they get some proprietary data, or can they get to closed data if it's allowed?
They can. Well, so there's two different things. I mean, like they have APIs that developers can use to pull from their index. and that's not changed by caffeine. You know, the infrastructure is still putting out content and feeding it into their database. So whatever you were able to pull out before, you can still pull it out in the past. Going forward, the other issue is for them to put more data into their database, they could potentially rely on the APIs from other people.
And is there a model? Is there an SDK, or how do you do that?
How do you feed data into Google?
Yeah. So say Yammer wanted to feed their feeds into Google into a private group. Can they do that?
Well, they don't really have a private group that you could feed into. So, for example,
if Buzz, yeah.
I mean, Buzz has its private. You can talk privately in Buzz.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so like, but then that's not really. But those are conversations where people aren't feeding stuff into from Google discovering it out on the web. You're using Google's own tools. Mm-hmm. I mean, by and large, if you search on Google, you're getting information that's out in the public, and the public can do that information. So they don't have a lot of that. I mean, for the most part, they don't have APIs where you punch stuff into the Google index.
Well, imagine a future where you had something like a closed-in system, and you did want to push out a single thread into the public so that Google can see it. Could you do that?
Well, you can do that now. You just make it available on the web. I mean, the easiest way to do that is you make it available on the web. You've punched it out as and then they discover it either because they've crawled you or you've notified them through an RSS feed. Or on top of that, you publish a sitemap, which is your way as a publisher to say to Google, here's content that we think you should be including. But I mean, if you put something out on the web, Google pretty much will try to find it and make it available to other people, which is why there hasn't, I think, been so much. Well, what's the publisher API or SDK or the protocol? The protocol has been published on the web, and we find it.
Well, is caffeine really a big thing? I mean, if you see the Bing and Yahoo and other search engines, is caffeine the killer index for
No,
Google?
I wouldn't say it's a killer thing, but I mean, it keeps Google fresher if it works as advertised. But Google's already been much fresher than them. I mean, it's astounding sometimes how quickly you get stuff showing up in Google compared to some of the other players, and it can make a difference. It especially makes a difference because a lot of the people who try to review or talk about search engines do it through ego searching. So a great example is John Patel. He did a post maybe a year ago where he published a post. He did a search. He found his post within 20 seconds of having put it out there, and he goes, "My God, Google is fast." And he's telling that to all these other people. That can influence on other people thinking, well, I guess it's a good search engine. They seem to be very fresh.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about what they did yesterday for 12 hours and taking the Bing style graphic and putting it in the background and then taking it down when their reaction was fairly negative? Are they afraid of Microsoft somehow, or what are they doing?
Well, that was really unprecedented for Google. Usually they don't. Usually when they do something, they stick with it, and they use the argument that, oh, well, everybody really needs to just get used to it or whatever. Now, this was supposed to be a one-day test, and I think they just caught them off guard. I think they didn't expect people would react so badly to it. Most people probably didn't mind, right? But there was a huge number of people who clearly didn't like it and wanted to turn it off and didn't know how to turn it off, and most important, didn't know if it was going to go away, because they didn't communicate very clearly that this was not a permanent change. But yeah, I think that they were kind of copying Bing with that, definitely. I think that they felt the pressure that Bing has had that. But interesting, the lesson that they probably learned off of this is, wow, I guess we're not really missing out by not having a big picture on our homepage. If people want it, they can do it through the other feature that they've got.
On Google, it's still there. There's a little link on the bottom left corner that says select background image.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to have a picture there, you can do it, and that was the main feature they rolled out last week. But they wanted to really let people know that it was available, or the more conspiratorial argument was they really wanted to test to see if it made that much of a difference to just automatically show you an image in the way that Bing does.
But what's the point of the image? I mean, Google is all about fast and speed and real time, and image just takes that away to me.
Well, I mean, some people have liked it on Bing. Some people go to the homepage on Bing and they like the fact that there's something unusual or different. And if you're going to search every day, why does your search experience have to be so boring, right? So some people have definitely liked it on Bing, and some people have definitely suggested that Google is weak by not doing the same. And so the point was for Google to actually try it out. And I think the answer was that might work for Bing, but it doesn't look like it's going to work that well for you on Google, not for everybody. But if people do
I'd
want
rather have that. That thing should be on iGoogle, and they should do more with iGoogle and have the backgrounds and stuff there. But Google
Personally, how many
itself
of you really
it
go to
should be
Google's
just-
homepage?
Yeah, I've never been to iGoogle, except when I was trying to figure out Buzz.
And Latitude. Latitude you have to go to iGoogle for.
What about
iGoogle's
iGoogle?
awful. But Google, I go to Google's homepage. I
Why?
mean, it's really well. I do it. You know why? On the because on the Droid. Well, the homepage. So that I use the bar
Exactly.
and in the browser a lot of times. But if I'm on the Droid, I don't want to go through all the other stuff. So I go to Google's homepage as it's bookmarked. It's almost always
I mean,
there.
that's fair.
And
I mean,
search that way.
Android pushes a lot of the the Google services sort of front and center, and so they're interesting there. But then many of us are not on the Droid, so.
I mean, I
Even
don't.
if you
I
are,
use the
I've
toolbar
never
almost
used Google
exclusively,
homepage on the
but-
Droid because the bar's right there. I just search, search for
Search the
stuff.
bar, yeah. And I also, and if you're using
Fair-
Chrome, you just
fair to
search in the
say-
bar there. You
fair to
don't
say-
need it anymore.
A good number of people go to the Google homepage. A good number of people go to that Google homepage.
They probably have it as the default
for whatever
the browser.
reason. They don't
when
know
you
that there's
double-click on-
toolbars they can use or whatever, but they definitely go to the Google homepage.
Yeah.
And they apparently have some very strong views about what
Yeah,
they want to
it's-
see on that homepage.
Yeah.
I imagine millions of people go to the Google homepage, but it's not the.
Yeah,
Oh,
but there
I-
are
I
millions
think
of
it's not
people.
the,
There are millions of people who use Google search. I just don't happen to be one of them. I mean, I use it occasionally. I never clicked on an ad. I mean, this is the same discussion we have every few weeks. I don't know who it is who clicks on those
Yeah,
ads.
the only reason to click on an ad is to try to take away dollars from your competitor. Click it over and over and over until Google catches you.
That's
Just
entirely
kidding.
not
That's
the
not-
case.
that's not
People
true.
click on
Just-
the ads. People click on the ads for the same reason they click on search results, because sometimes the ads have a better answer. And I'll give you one good example is when I'm trying to buy something, and like if I'm trying to go somewhere and I'm interested. I was trying to buy a snowboard at one point, and there was a particular snowboard jacket that I wanted, and I just wanted to buy the jacket, and I'm ready to go. Who's got it? I did a search on Google, and I clicked on every ad. I didn't click on the other results because the ads, I knew those were people who were ready to sell to me.
Well, I'm just looking at the time frame of what you're saying. So a snowboard means you're buying in November. That's the last time you clicked on a Google ad. Is that
Well,
right?
No, the last time I clicked on a Google ad was probably about 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember what it was for. I mean, clicking on a Google ad as a regular search or whatever. I can't remember what it was for, but it was the same kind of thing. There was something I wanted to buy, and I had done a search, and I looked at the ad because the ad was actually going to give me a more satisfying answer than the Google regular search results. Now, most people don't click on the ads, right? The ads get a click-through rate of anywhere from 1 to maybe 10%. That's fine. Most people don't look at the ads in a newspaper and act on them either.
Yeah.
But it makes Google plenty of money, and we get the other stuff that comes alongside with it.
I mean, here's a search I'm doing for my Los Angeles vacation, right? Los Angeles beach hotels, and the ads are definitely better than the content, So
Maybe
I
that's
can
on
totally see-
purpose.
What's that?
That's on purpose, maybe.
No,
Well,
because
yeah,
it's
some people
because who has
suspect
the
that.
money to advertise? It's the hotels themselves who want to sell you a night. Like Crown Plaza is advertising there, Four Seasons is advertising there, Expedia is advertising there.
Yeah, whatever's
Those are
the most
brands
efficient, whatever's the most efficient way to get the answer to what you're trying to do. If you're already pre-qualified as somebody who wants to be someplace at a certain time, then these ads start to come into play.
Here's an example, because I have history on at some point, right? In May, I had done a search for Hobie kayaks. I was looking to buy an actual kayak, for my wife that we could go out on the water with. And I clicked on an ad for a place that was selling it. And I did that because I think I'd actually done a lot of searches and got to a lot of places that weren't satisfactory. They didn't have the thing I wanted that was in stock. So that was one that I know that I had done there. I did a search in, and I don't always have web history on. When I do, I can see. When I do, I can see some of the things. In January, when the Nexus 1 came out, I did a search for Nexus 1 case, and I ended up at a lot of pages that said they had the Nexus 1 case, but they didn't, right? They knew it was coming. They had optimized their pages to put out that they had Nexus stuff, so they started ranking. Instead, I started clicking on the ads, and that's in part because if you're spending money to show up for Nexus 1 case, you're actually really have a strong incentive to ensure you've got the thing, because otherwise you're wasting your money. I'm going to just click and I'm going to go away. So that was another ad that I clicked
Talking
on.
about cases, I had dinner with the CEO of Spec, who makes cases for the iPhones, and she wasn't too bitter about it, but you could tell her world has changed because Apple's decided to make their own cases, and that's a change in how Apple's dealing with third parties again.
All right.
Well, you know what? I mean, if I'm still sitting around without a case for my iPad because they're all out of stock, so that doesn't hold up with me. If somebody could give me a better case that opens up like the iPad case and they could put it out there right now, I'd be buying it. And
well,
everybody
you know,
else would be doing
the only problem with that logic is that the Apple iPad case is the best one.
Not really anymore. There's other ones that are actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That actually
The
take
problem
into
is
account
and she explained the problem to me. Apple doesn't give out specs for their products to any of the third-party developers until it ships. In fact, she doesn't even know yet whether the iPhone 4 is a final spec. Apple is not willing to guarantee.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure
it
that
won't change in the next 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, look at the impact on the announcements of the stolen iPhone. I mean, it was pretty devastating.
But Robert, I find myself really annoyed when I get a device and the manufacturer's not included a case. I mean, in the opposite, I think if you're going to sell me an iPad, you give me a basic case with it.
You know why?
When I got the Nexus 1 came with a case, which was great. The Evo did not. I'm using my old Sidekick case to hold the damn thing right now, which is fine. But, you know, these are expensive devices. Give us something that they can fit into.
But do you know why? Do you know what the profit is on cases?
Not a lot.
It's got to be astronomical.
70%. So if you buy a case for $10,
Well, you know what?
keeps
Steve can suck it up. I don't care. I'm just paid him $500 for my iPad.
But that's where the profit is in retail.
But, you know, I don't agree with you, Danny.
Has anyone used the Zag?
I'm not saying give me the best case in the world.
No, Danny, I don't agree with you.
But a simple slip case, then that's nice. A simple slip case, how hard's that?
Go to the kitchen and get a plastic bag. I mean, come on, give me a break.
No,
I gotta go, Steve.
that you
Sorry.
fit or you're carrying it around is not going to get wrapped. That's all.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Go ahead. Back to
Has anyone
our.
used the Zag screen thing on the iPad? That
I just ordered
plastic
those
wrap?
on both, I think.
What's that?
It's made from the material that they cover helicopter blades in the military applications, and they're using it as a kind of a wrapper, a plastic wrapper around the iPad screen and the back. They have it for Droid and iPhones too.
Yeah.
My experience is quite mixed on it. I want to know what you think, Robert, when you get yours.
I don't use a case.
I mean, it's thick.
I really don't care that it gets scratched.
It's not a case.
I know, but I don't use anything that gets between me and my iPad.
Ooh, that sounds.
Well, I mean, I have it on my iPad.
Well, that's
and it's been great. I have it on the front.
I've
and
heard
back,
this
and it
language
keeps from getting
before.
scratched, but I don't even notice
All
that
right,
it's on there.
shields.
Yeah,
If
I
you
mean,
want
if
to-
I scratch it, it's going to be obsolete by Christmas time anyway. So.
But Robert, those
You're
new
getting another
ribbed
one.
cases
Yeah,
are really
not everyone
amazing.
else has a collection.
What's that, Steve?
Those new ribbed cases, you know.
Yeah, there are some neat cases. I saw one guy with an executive-like case that looked like a book, like a physical
I'm sorry,
book.
but-
And you open up the book, and inside there's an iPad. Yeah,
They have flavored cases now too. I hear.
I think they have his and hers now, too.
This is going downhill.
And I've got a nice
Going.
lambskin one. That's
Yeah, I want to see you.
I
licking
think
your
this is
iPad.
actually going uphill at this point.
By the way, if you're gonna buy one of the Zag cases, do a search on Google in real-time search for Zag discount code, and it's great because everybody shares their discount codes, and you save quite a bit of money. So
Okay, well, the
it's a good use
iPad's
case for real-time search.
the iPad has been out now for what, 2 months? So all of those third-party manufacturers have had time to get the specs and be able to start developing for it, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
Spec CEO
here's
told me it
this
takes
is
about
the
2
best
months to
one
get
as
on.
far as I'm concerned. The official iPad one. The only problem with it is that it doesn't allow you to be able to seat it into the dock with the keyboard, which I also have, which is fantastic, without taking it out of the case. So if one of these third-party guys was to do this exact design and cut some plastic off of here and here so that I can seat it in there, we're done. And they can charge $55 for it. I don't care. All right? Is that settled? All right. I'm going to call a halt to this. This is Steve Gillmor. This has been the Gillmor Gang. I want to thank Mike Arrington and Andrew Keene and Danny Sullivan and Robert Scoble and John Taschek. And I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Rackspace, and particularly Rob Legess, without whom this show would not be back on the air, as well as New Tech and their fabulous TriCaster, without which the show would not be on video, except for a few months with Leo Laporte. And he was using the TriCaster as well. And I want to just say that I'm very, very pleased that TechCrunch has survived to 5 years and that Building 43 has survived to 1 year. And I hope that everybody out there on the network support all these people because they're doing God's work and we appreciate it. And it's a lot less boring than the alternative. So I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Party time, party time.